I cannot believe today is the day. Oh my goodness. How has time flown by this quick? Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Isabella and today we're doing a really exciting video, and oh my goodness, I literally am so shocked and I still can't believe that this is actually happening. So today, or technically when I'm filming this, I am really behind on my schedule, but it is the 1st of February and it is the day we're revealing Project Poetry's title, book cover and blurb. So before we get right into this, I'm actually going to jump back in time to when I first got my proof order, and it did take a bit of time to get here. I won't lie about it. Plus, I was also on a trip, so it kind of arrived when I wasn't even in the country. So that was a bit annoying, and I did have to go and pick it up and all of that. But I am so happy I have my own copy now, and I literally cannot wait. So we're going to go back in time, and I'm going to show you a clip from past Isabella, and yeah, she struggled a bit just to get this book out of the box. Okay, so as you guys probably saw in the last clip, you did see a little bit of what the cover looks like, but I'm also going to put it up on the screen. And oh my goodness, she is absolutely beautiful, and I'm so excited, and I literally cannot believe that this is going to be my debut poetry collection. It honestly still astounds my mind that this was actually written by me. Like, I was staring at it 2 days ago and I was like, this doesn't feel like even my book. But that is our cover, and I am absolutely obsessed. My cover designer Crystal did an awesome job, and I literally could not have thanked her enough for, first of all, the speed of her services and my endless requests and lack of drawing skills, because I had to draw or sketch out a bit of a template of what I wanted because I couldn't express it really well. And I'm somehow shocked that she turned that into this. Like, that's gonna take some skill. So yeah, I was actually debating. I understand that this isn't really a like traditional poetry cover, but I don't know what I was really going for. But I like the border style, but I know that's not really common in poetry. But I didn't really feel like it wasn't necessary, I know, to include, but I wanted to include it because it just kind of ties in with the vibe of my formatting. So I included this really pretty rose kind of flower border around the book, and my center image is meant to be an envelope with the idea of like having the address blurred out or like scribbled out in a way. And then there's the book title, which is Everything I Couldn't Say. And I actually debated putting this on. This was a really last minute addition, and that's just a little subtitle, and it says "No one silenced me," and I put the same quote on my bookmark as well. And at the back we have a cute little blurb. There's my little company logo and the same border design as well. And the blurb on the book says, "I was a quiet girl blackmailed into silence." But I will now read to you the full blurb that is technically up on Goodreads, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and wherever else you buy your books. I was a quiet girl blackmailed into silence. A collection inspired by silence fear. In the years of secondary school, emotions are tested when love enters the conscious. Love from rivalry encapsulates uncertainty and disbelief, propelling a tale of caution and insecurity. Suppressing individuality and self-worth breeds pain and anxiety, captured by the desire to be wanted and loved by someone. This collection will take you on a journey of heartbreaking emotions and tears to emerge on the other side, fulfilled and content with who you are and how perfect you are. I am absolutely obsessed, and I cannot wait for you guys to also get your own copy and just if you want to get the ebook, that's totally fine. It's literally so cute both ways. To be honest, I love the ebook, but if I was going to choose, I would choose the paperback because I just love the back cover the most, and I think that says something about my choices. But I'm absolutely obsessed, and I'm literally still at a loss for words. I want to show you a little bit of the formatting. So this is actually just a little cute perk. Like, you'll see this in the ebook as well, but I put Spotify codes inside, and I thought that was just really cute and really fun. Of course, you don't have to scan these codes. You could literally just go onto my Spotify page and it will all be there. But I absolutely love the dividers, which is the reason why I do not want to let go of the border design. So this is what it looks like. I'm also going to put pictures up on the screen as well, because I understand how hard it can be sometimes to see. This is our cover, our blurb, and our title. We should probably talk a little bit more about this collection so you guys know what you're getting into, and also what this book even is about. Okay, so basically everything I couldn't say is a poetry collection, as I probably could have told you from the working title that I gave it, which was Project Poetry. If you have not watched that series, it is still up on my channel. There's only 3 episodes, but it definitely documented my entire writing and editing process for this book. So if you want to know how that went, go watch that series. I also have a link down below. But basically, this book, I didn't actually plan on publishing as my debut. Let's be realistic. I thought I would publish a fiction novel or like a romance book, because that is what I have been writing since I started writing in general. And well, when I say start writing, I mean taking writing seriously as like a potential career. So I never anticipated poetry to be the first book I released, but I have now since changed my plan in publishing and also business wise. So I'm actually just going to be focusing on releasing poetry from now on. But I will sometime in the near future be releasing a novel. The only reason I am going to put that off is also because I want to develop my novel writing skills, and since I am no longer going to be studying English. If you do not know, I did talk about this a little in my 2024 video where I talk about my goals and plans. I'm actually going into an economics degree, so it's going to take me a bit of time to have to like really craft the story that well, and also because I won't have a lot of time to focus on English in general. I feel like it's a lot more feasible to just write poetry because it is a lot shorter in the grand scheme of things. So it should necessarily not be as stressful. But not to say that this book was not stressful, because it was quite a few times, especially when it came to feedback and editing. But anyhow, I am really excited. I still cannot believe that this book is here in my hands and I'm literally flipping through the pages. But let's talk about what inspired this book and why I wanted to write it and why I didn't actually think I was going to publish this. So this book idea came to me literally just randomly one night before I went to sleep. So I did talk about this in episode 1. So if you want like a more detailed answer, do watch that video. At the end of each episode, there is like a Q&A segment in a way. So it just kind of details my entire process. Sorry, I just had a little interruption. But essentially what I was saying is that this book started from a really spontaneous idea, and that idea was actually the blurb. So that's where this entire idea originated from, and where this whole book kind of just became a book in general. And no, I didn't plan for that to happen. I honestly thought I was just going to write a poem out of it. But then this idea expanded a little more into something else, and the rest is kind of history now. But yeah, this entire book started from this little blurb, and I'm honestly so happy that it did, because I am so happy and most of all so grateful that I'm even able to hold this book, because I know publishing isn't really feasible for everyone and it does take a lot of discipline and hard work, not to mention the motivation and the idea to get started. So I feel like when it comes to necessarily writing a book or like turning an idea or a worthwhile idea into a book or a plot is really a case-by-case basis, and also depends on the person. So for me, when I had that blurb in my mind, I just thought this was going to be a one-page kind of poem, or like something that's kind of short and maybe like not so long. But little did I know this book was gonna be the result of that little idea. So I actually was talking to my sister about it the morning afterwards, and I was telling her about how I have this idea. And then when I was explaining to her, I kind of just saw it becoming a book before my very eyes, even though I was just seeing this in my head. And then I went to school and I spoke to my friend Crystal, who is also my cover designer. So she's literally one of the best people ever in my little, I guess, circle. But I am so glad I discussed it with her, because she helped me, I guess, expand my horizons in a way and kind of envision this book coming to life. So this book wouldn't have happened if I never talked to my cover designer and my sister. It would literally have just been a poem that would probably be 1 page long, if I'm being honest with my track record at this point. So I was surprised that I actually wanted to try and tackle this idea. Like, I always wanted to write a poetry collection, but it seemed like the time I got this idea was probably the worst time possible. I was in the middle of finishing and submitting my 2 major works, and that was for Society and Culture and English Extension 2. And I was also doing a poetry collection for English Extension 2. There really is no time for when your idea for a book can strike. So sometimes you just have to act on it, even though it's like the worst time possible. But for me, I wasn't really focusing on any projects at the moment. So I just decided to dive in with it and, you know, just experiment and see where it would lead me. And little did I know, this is where we're going to be. Literally only a couple months later. But anyhow, the reason I wasn't anticipating on publishing this book was, firstly, it's a poetry book. Secondly, I always thought I would start publishing with like romance novels or just a novel in general. I never anticipated poetry to be the first book I would release, let alone be my debut. But I guess life has a weird way of showing us the path we need to be on, and I guess that explains why from a very young age I started writing a lot of poetry, learning a lot about form, techniques, structure even, and just like, I guess, expanding my knowledge in poems and the form in general a lot faster than I ever did when it came to plot and structure for a novel. So I think even from a young age this was going to happen. I knew I was always going to want to publish a poetry book. I just never anticipated to be this early on in my career, let alone the first book. But the only other reason I didn't want to publish this book necessarily was because it felt personal. But of course, as I probably would have told you by now in the other episodes, this book, I kind of feel a little more detached from it now. Like, I feel like I'm ready to send this out to the world rather than, oh no, it's still my baby, I literally can't let it go. But no, I think I'm a lot more detached and I kind of am ready to move on for my next challenge. Okay, so now that you have a bit of background on why I kind of started writing this and how that kind of all became and how this book came to be, let's read a few poems. I'm going to be reading a few poems, but most of my poems, they're kind of like, well, printed wise, a page long, but if you put it on an A4 document, it's a lot shorter. So in a way, it's not so long, but not so short. And I'm going to be reading a few stanzas rather than the whole poem in general, but I don't know how this will be received because it's definitely not very much in the style of what you would expect. Like, if you read Rupi Kaur, you will not be seeing a lot of that in this. And if you read super classical poetry like Coleridge, Eliot, etc., it's also not like that. It's kind of more of a bit of a modern blend, but it's also very narrative and story like in general. So I guess you can say it's like a short novel in poetry. Let's choose a random poem. Oh, this is one of my favorites. I need to read this to you. It's a bit of a long one, but I'm gonna read to you probably a few stanzas. It's called I Wanted Some Space. I thought running was over, but you hid a letter in my shade, forcing me into flaming rays like an intruding hair, running farther and farther away from the finish line. I'd have run away from you if I could, but you'd catch me as I was drowning from your eyes, smiles, and lips, my heated blood against your chest, stopping the blur of heavenly you. I wanted some space from you, but you became a sustaining force like a transcendental divide. You became a supply of trust I craved, one I demanded daily without fault. We were in an imperfect equilibrium. And I'm gonna end it there because it does keep going. And if you read the whole book, the whole story will make a lot more sense because I'm kind of just giving you random parts here and there now. And this does have a whole story arc to it, and it's one of my favorites. But let's go to a poem in the middle. I don't really have one in mind, but there is one poem I know I want to read. Okay, so this one is called Another Bowl, Another Strike. Remember that day you told me you loved me, and it seemed so true in the moment? Remember that day you handed me a note about your everlasting love for me, which surpassed the truth. It burned brighter than a necklace in the moonlight. You took another bowl, another strike the day you held her hand in front of me, smiling like she was your world and I was a figment of your past. Remember that day you said I was your only one and it was too good to be true and my gut knew. Remember that day you promised me I was yours and you smashed my glass heart against the rocks. Those necklace smashed fragments of my bones. I knew it was over for us when I saw you with her, realizing we were never anything except for a fantasy I conjured in my mind, along with a forgotten dream. And I'm going to end it there. It is not as long as the first poem I just read to you, but it is still a little bit longer than, I guess, general conversational modern poetry. But those are some of my favorite poems. There are a few more. I remember when I was searching for my favorite lines though, it took me so long to find what my favorite lines was because I had been reading this book over and over because I was editing insanely and also copy editing a ton. So I kind of was just over it at that point. Those are just a few of the poems, but I feel like we should read one more because why not? I don't want to accidentally read from the wrong timeline, but I don't want to go too far into the ending. Okay, this one I like just because I remember writing this very vividly and it was just hilarious when I read it to me. It might not be funny to you, but it has memories for me. It's called I Wouldn't Have Told Anyone, Promise. I left economics once, cornered by you before I could run down the stairs. You asked me if I was seeing him. A pointed look to the only guy who had the guts to challenge you for hallucinatory love. And we're going to leave it there. You're going to have to read the rest of the poem to know what happens. And technically the entire book if you want to follow the entire storyline. But that is gonna be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I am so excited and so thankful that I get to share this with you and also document my journey and basically just bring this video to you guys and just let you know that this book is now available for pre-order and it also releases on the 13th of February 2024. So you guys can purchase this book really soon if you don't want to pre-order it, but if you do want to pre-order it, I will be so thankful, and I absolutely hope you guys enjoy this. And don't forget to leave a review if you do manage to get the book ahead of time. Somehow I already had 5 pre-orders. I'm not really sure how that happened because I set the pre-order date to the 1st of February. But I saw that people already had pre-ordered in America or the US specifically. And I guess that was a bit of a surprise, but I was over the moon, ecstatic, and so thankful and grateful that even one person wanted my book. But yeah, so far we're technically on 5 pre-orders. So if you would like to help raise that number, feel free to pre-order on your vendor. Is that what they call it? I don't know. Wherever you want to buy your books, you can go pre-order. But yeah, I am so happy that this is finally out, and I will see you guys in the next video, and hopefully it'll be a writing vlog because I've hit a bit of a slump in my writing. But until then, I'll see you guys in the next one. Stay healthy, stay happy. Bye!